Let me ask you a question. Would you rather have all the money in the world, but be too sick to enjoy it? Would you rather have perfect health, but constantly worry about paying your bills? Or would you rather have both health and money, but be so busy that you never had any time to enjoy either one of those things? You know, most of us spend our lives chasing three things: health, wealth, and freedom, or time. The challenge is that these three things rarely show up at the same time in our lives, isn't it true? When you're young, you usually have health and maybe some level of freedom. But if you're like me, when you were younger, you had very little money. Then you get to this middle age. You might have health and hopefully at least growing wealth, but man, you're drowning in responsibilities and you don't have a whole lot of time. Then you get to later in life, what they would call the golden years. And finally, after a life's career and effort, you have some money accumulated, hopefully, and you have some freedom. But you know what begins to happen in the golden years? Your health might begin to decline. It's almost like playing a cruel joke on us, isn't it? And I wanted to tackle this conversation. I want to explore a question that I've been wrestling with, and maybe you've thought about it yourself. And that question is this: is it even possible to create a life that includes all three of these things?
This is the Champion Forum podcast with Jeff Hancher, the forum for leaders, champions, and dreamers.
Hey, welcome back to the show, everyone. Jeff Hancher here. I am on a mission to help others lead, inspire, and win in this life. Let me just throw out this disclaimer. Today's episode is not about leadership. It's not about sales. It's not even about business. It's about life. It's about the pursuit. Because at some point, every successful person discovers something very surprising. And that's that achievement and fulfillment are not the same thing. You know, you can build a successful company and lose your health. Isn't it true? You can protect your health and neglect your financial future. You can accumulate all the wealth in the world and wake up one day realizing you have sacrificed relationships, you have sacrificed experiences, and you have sacrificed moments that you're never going to get back. So let's talk about that today. Let's talk about the tension between health, wealth, and freedom. This is what I would call the paradox of life. This is a conversation that started in my life 20-some years ago with a mentor of mine who was having this conversation with me. And at the time I was like, bro, I'm not there. Like, I'm just trying to work myself into a frenzy so I can save up enough money for a down payment on a house. I'm hearing this guy talking, but it's like far from me, really. But as I've become more, middle-aged, if you will, man, this is something that I've been thinking about quite a bit. And I've noticed something very fascinating. You know, life seems to distribute these three things, these three resources, very unevenly for us. And shame on life to put us in this predicament. You know, when we're young, we have all the energy in the world. We recover quickly, from working long days and whatever it might be. We probably have fewer obligations. Maybe we're not even having kids just yet. Maybe it's just me. Maybe, it's a spouse. But we have fewer obligations. But you know what else we have? We have almost no money. We haven't really accumulated much unless you're a trust fund baby, of which I was not. Then we enter the building years. You know, we're getting after it, rise and grind. We're working hard. We're raising our family. We're chasing after our career. We're starting businesses. And the good news is our income does start to grow. And man, that's very satisfying. but our calendars become prisons. And then later in life, many people, they finally achieve a level of financial security. And I'm not even saying abundance of wealth, but let me at least say, hopefully later in life, we finally achieve some level of financial security. I mean, hopefully by that point, the mortgage is paid, the kids are grown up, they're out of your house. If you had a son like mine, the food bill alone was enough to have you get a second job kind of thing, right? Jake, if you're listening, you're killing a brother. I mean, look, retirement arrives. And here's what happens. Time opens up. It opens up. And man, isn't that what we've been working our whole life for? To be, 65 years old, whatever that number means, so that now we can finally enjoy life. Yet, here's what starts to happen. The body begins betraying us. The body begins sending us invoices for decades of neglect. The knees start to hurt. The doctor's appointments start to increase in frequency. It's almost as if health, wealth, and freedom are constantly taking turns in our life. And I've reflected on this quite a bit. I've thought about my own journey. Like many driven people like me, there have no doubt been seasons where I've prioritized achievement. Chasing that promotion in the corporate world, chasing that year-end bonus, working 7 days a week to just get the last invoice, to get that final annual bonus that was going to set me and my family, into a different tax bracket, a different way of life. I've been there. Look, writing books. Let me tell you, the book launch of Firm Feedback in a Fragile World. Look, don't feel bad for me, but let me tell you something. I didn't document and throw on social media everything that went into a successful book launch. But I think it literally took a year off my life. Speaking events, building a business from nothing, leadership opportunities, name it. I'm on the journey with you all. And here's what I've learned. This thing that we call success, it is a hungry beast. Because success is always asking for more. It wants more from you. It wants more hours. It wants more effort. It wants more sacrifice. The problem is that if you're not careful, success will gladly consume the very life you're trying to improve. I've been there. And I don't say that as someone who has all the answers. Because if you're waiting for the big cliffhanger, like I got this thing finally figured out, and that's why I'm having this episode, you can hit stop right now. But I am here to bring some thought. What I'm saying this as somebody who is actively trying to figure it out. Because there have been moments where I've asked myself, am I building a life that I'm actually enjoying? Am I enjoying this life? Or am I simply building a resume? If you're a longtime listener to this show, you've heard some of my story. I grew up in poverty. I had very sick parents. And this upbringing, this experience, it gave me a front row seat to see what poor health and lack of money, the damage that could do to a family. And what I did know, and I didn't know much, but what I did know was that was not the life that I wanted. So the majority of my adult life, I have chased success to a fault because I was running from something, not necessarily to something. And I will say this, even at the cost of my health, and even at the cost of compromising relationships and freedom and time in those seasons of building was looked at as the enemy of success. As a matter of fact, in my 24-year corporate career, never one single year did I use all of my paid time off. Not one time. Now, I'm not wearing that as a badge. As a matter of fact, looking back, I'm saying to myself, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I literally left time on the table, but I saw taking time off as the enemy. And by the way, if you really care about your job and you want to get an advantage on the next guy for the next promotion, then you got to get in there and make things happen. That was my message. And if that's you, I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just telling you I've had some time to reflect. I coach many executives and leaders that are crazy successful. This topic comes up so frequently in our discussions because I don't think that we really think about our lives as a whole. And I think we need to. You know, we fight for the moment. We strive for the win. You know, we welcome the battles and the opportunities that come before us. And I'm here for a good fight. But sometimes it isn't until it's too late that we realize that we didn't build a life that we're proud of at all. And when this happens, I need to inform you, it's too late. This leads to guilt. This leads to regret. And can I tell you, and I know you know, time is a thief that we're never getting back. It's the ultimate dichotomy of time and building success and building wealth and making things better than maybe that you had it. I get the dynamic. It's a challenge. But all three of these things are important, not just one. They're all important. Let's break down these three categories of health, wealth, and freedom. Let's start with health. Because in my opinion, it is the most important thing. And I'll go on record as saying it's probably the thing, at least early in my adult life, that I neglected the most. Health is the foundation. Without health, everything becomes harder. Money loses some of its usefulness, doesn't it? Freedom loses some of its enjoyment. Relationships become more difficult. Your body is the vehicle carrying you through life. And yet many of us, we treat it like a rental car. By the way, don't jump in a rental car with me. Just ask my family. And don't report this to National Car Rental. But I'm just telling you, sometimes I drive it like a rental. It's a good time. Listen, we assume our body's always going to be there. I'm fine. So we push it harder. We sleep less. We eat worse. We go through the drive-through. We move less. We become stagnant. We're not moving around. We're locked to a computer. And eventually we discover that health isn't something you appreciate when you have it. It's something you desperately miss when it's gone. And I've had some scares. Early in my career, this was the area that I did neglect most. I was sleep deprived. I remember my wife always saying to me, "You look like a raccoon, man. Your eyes are sunken in." And I felt like this is what it took to win. And let me put it out there. I'm here for some sacrifice. I'm here for it. But I'm not working out. I'm not sleeping. I'm not taking care of my body. Man, this seemed like a sacrifice that I needed to make to get an upper hand, to get an advantage on the world. And I'm not here to tell you that I run on the beach with a six-pack today because I got it all figured out. And my most recent labs, they came back perfectly. So holler at your boy. I'm not saying that. But I will say I am more intentional than I used to be. So much so that I have invested in a personal health coach. And it's not what you're thinking. Like, they're not teaching me how to do exercises more, although that is important. I hired this health coach because I realized, like, I don't know what I'm doing exactly. I don't really understand my specific body. So I hired this health coach that has not only educated me on how Jeff Hancher's body works through genetic testing, but her guidance and accountability has changed my life. And this is a good time to give a shout out to my health coach, Jennifer Little Fleck, if she's listening. Jennifer, so grateful for you. And then we have wealth. Let's talk about wealth. You know, money so often, it gets demonized. And I'm over it. Because money is not evil. Matter of fact, in the right hands, money is a tool. Money creates options. Money creates opportunities. Money can reduce stress. Money can allow generosity. You can't give what you don't have. Money can buy experiences. Money can create impact, can it? Good or bad. Money can create unforgettable moments with the people that you care about most. You know, a year before my mom passed away, I remember having dinner with her, and she said to me, someday I hope that I get to see the ocean. Man, I made that one of my life's goals. I'm early in my career. I'm like, man, if I could just maybe save enough money, maybe I could get Mom to the ocean. It was one of the things that she just thought would be beautiful to see. Never put her foot in on a beach. Never saw a wave crash on the beach. Never saw anything like that. And when she passed, it was a moment that I carried with me. Man, I never had a chance to get my mom to see the ocean. Man, the goal isn't money for money's sake. Listen, I know many, many high net worth people that are being treated for anxiety and depression. Hear me? The goal is using financial resources to create a better life so that you can what? You can serve others in a more effective way. And then we have freedom. This is a big piece in this trifecta. You know, freedom is probably the one that's the most overlooked. It has been for me. Freedom is having enough margin to choose. Freedom is control over your calendar. Part of the reason I'm doing this show is, one, because I've been wrestling with this topic, but two, I was recently hiking in Yosemite National Park. By the way, I was out in California for a business function doing a workshop, and I figured I'm all the way out here. I might as well go see the world's biggest tree in the sequoias and go hike Yosemite for 2 or 3 days with my wife and my daughter. And I basically get a DM from a follower that, in essence, said, must be nice. And at first I'm like ticked off, like, man, you don't see the behind the scenes, you don't see what I do. But then this frustration bubbled up in me, and I basically said, it is nice. It's actually really nice. Freedom is nice. Freedom is controlling your calendar. Freedom is the ability to be present. Freedom is having time for your spouse, your children, your faith, your friendships, and your purpose. My life of travel with my family, when I get a must be nice, man, I start pondering when I get this DM. Should I be posting my travel? Should I be posting the grind more? The late nights, the early mornings, the 5-hour drives for an 8 a.m. keynote. You know, should I be posting some of that more? Should I be posting the 3,189 customized DMs that I sent to promote my book, to get it enhanced, to serve people? Should I be posting some of that too? Maybe I should be posting some of that more. What should I do? If half the crowd's going to say must be nice, half the crowd's going to be inspired by what I'm doing. What do I do? Man, I'm going to do me. It is nice. I don't have it all figured out. I don't have untapped, unexpendable time, nor health, nor wealth. But I will tell you this, I'm closer to that trifecta today than I ever have been before. Because what is good health and wealth if you never have time to enjoy either, none of them? So the real goal isn't balance. And here's where I may challenge some conventional wisdom. I don't think life is about balance. I think it's about alignment. Balance implies equal distribution. I've come to find life rarely works that way, with equal distribution. Wouldn't that be nice? Some seasons require extraordinary effort. Some seasons require extraordinary sacrifice, like launching a business the first year, like book writing and launch, on and on. You know what I'm talking about. The problem isn't temporary imbalance. The problem is permanent neglect. You can survive a season of intense work, no question about it. You can't survive decades of ignoring your health. You can survive a season of financial struggle. You cannot thrive by ignoring wealth building forever. You can't. You can survive a busy quarter, no doubt. But eventually your relationships, if it's not put into check, they're going to need your presence. They're going to need it. So today, we broke down the 3 areas of life that most of us are trying to achieve, but very few people do. I reviewed each of their unique benefits as well as the challenges that they present, depending on the stage of life that maybe you're in. My goal with this conversation is not for us to reach perfection and to give you a formula that you can plug and play, but to have an awareness of our journey and how we can pursue a fulfilling life. I want to challenge you to come back next week. I'm going to give you 3 questions that no doubt are going to serve you as a self-audit for you to assess where are your biggest opportunities, as well as I'm going to give some practical application that's going to position you well to live the life that you desire. Until next week, make sure you tune in next week. We're going to dive into some real application. I want to challenge you until then to live fruitful and keep turning that pressure into potential.
The Champion Forum Podcast with Jeff Hancher. Lead, inspire, win.